Today we've got a story of someone getting gift cards and their partner being upset they're not spending them on them. We'll get into that in a bit, but first, my husband, 30-year-old male, intends to ask me, 29-year-old female, to open the marriage. How do I tell him I have no intention of letting him near my future baby, or me for that matter? Throwaway because my husband knows my Reddit handle. I've also changed names just to diminish the chances of him finding me. He's not abusive, but I have no intentions of letting him find out what I intend to do before I do it. I guess I'm just looking for advice on what to do. Victor and I met 5 years ago and we've been married for almost 3. When we were dating, I told him that under no circumstances would I condone cheating. If he cheated and I found out about it, that's it. I'd cut off all contact and he'd never see or hear from me again. If we were married and or have kids, we'd only go through our lawyers. He told me he was glad I had standards, and the past 5 years were great. Not perfect, but I believed we were happy, and we decided to try for a baby last year. My due date is in 16 weeks. I was over the moon happy, and I believed he was too. He told me when we were dating that he didn't care if we had only boys, and he always wanted to have at least one little girl for him to pamper and spoil. When we learned the baby was a girl, he cried and told me I was the best wife in the world. That was until last weekend. Victor went out to get groceries but left his phone in our room by accident. I decided to take it down to the kitchen so he wouldn't be scrambling looking for it when he got home. As I was walking to the kitchen, a text message popped up. It was from his work wife, Alicia, 31-year-old female. It said, "So the plan's on?" I don't know why, but something about this made me suspicious. Victor is the type of man who uses the same passcode for everything, so I was able to access his phone. Well, I checked his messages, and I learned that he intended to ask me to open the relationship so he and Alicia can start going out. I've never met an open relationship that's ever worked out, and a number of people I've talked to have told me that an open relationship is usually because someone is already cheating and wants to continue guilt-free or has someone in the wings. And it's clear that if he and Alicia aren't sleeping together, they certainly intend to. I was able to get screenshots of the text messages going back as far as I could and sent them to myself. I've also packed a bag and headed to my older brother's, Oliver, 32-year-old male's house. He opened his doors to me when I told him what happened, as I didn't want Victor to know that I know. I just left a note saying that Oliver had an unexpected emergency, and I headed over to help him. Victor just asked me to stay in contact and he loved me. I have an appointment with a lawyer in a few days. Honestly, I feel disgusted. This man knew the whole time that I'm not going to play these kinds of games, and he went ahead and decided to freak around and find out. But I don't want to play my hand just yet. Maybe I'm being petty, but I want to catch him as off guard as he caught me off guard. I don't want my baby to be around a man who believes it's okay to make a promise to be loyal and faithful, but decide to break it to chase some tail. What kind of a message does that send to a child, especially a girl? I don't care if he wins Father of the Year. He still thinks it's okay to treat the woman he vowed to love, cherish, and honor for the rest of his life like a side piece. Victor's been trying to call and text me asking if I'm okay. Oliver's been texting him back as me because I don't think I can talk to Victor without blowing my top. What do I do now? How do I tell him that not only did he choose Alicia over me, but I don't want my baby to grow up believing this kind of thing is okay? I think at this point, OP's pretty obviously made their decision, and very understandably so. I think it's the kind of thing that you get advice from your attorney on, so honestly you're a little bit more certain of what you can and can't even do. I mean, realistically, even getting a separation now, it's still very possible to have to come to grips with the reality that you're still going to have to co-parent this child. Also, hi, I'm Steven, and if you guys enjoy tricky relationship topics, why not hit those like and subscribe buttons down below? That said, our next story is, I got him a massage, he got a happy ending. What should I do? I, 23-year-old female, moved into a house share in November 2023. By December 2023, myself and my housemate, 28-year-old male, began dating exclusively. He is a wonderful person and I love spending time with him. It was his birthday in February. He had been really stressed at work and didn't know many people in the area, so I wanted to make sure it was still special. I got him a massage, I made him his favorite cake, and I paid for us to have dinner in the evening. Things were great and have been great since. Fast forward to tonight, Fast forward to tonight, he told me that after the massage, he was asked if he wanted a hand thing, and he said yes. He said the guilt was eating him up and he had to tell me. He said he regrets it and wishes he could take it back. After a lengthy conversation, I said it would be better to not continue with the relationship. However, I just don't know as I am so happy with him. My question is, should I stay with him or break up? How could things work and be healthy after something like this? Well, I mean, at least he told you, but I think it's more than valid for anybody in that situation to go, you don't have the impulse control to say no in a situation like that? ... It's over. Also, what seemingly legitimate massage business is going to do that kind of thing? Just, as an added gesture. What I'm insinuating is, isn't it likely that he paid a little bit extra specifically to get that kind of action? Our next story is, Dad came to my apartment with toys for 2 young kids. I do not have any kids. Longtime lurker, first time posting. I am coming to you, the brains of Reddit that always finds some angle I never considered, because my dad did something so wild yesterday and I'm spinning myself in circles about it. I'm trying to settle on an answer, but nothing really adds up. I'll break it down as thoroughly as I can, but my family has enough drama that I could fill 10 novels, so I'll be very to the point about it. So I will reiterate again that I do not have any kids and am not married. I've never been married, never even moved in with a man. Here are the people I can think of that might be involved in this somehow. I have one brother, 27-year-old male, and one sister, 22-year-old female. Brother is in a long-term relationship with a nice woman, but they're both not interested in kids right now. Sister still lives at our mom's house, no kids, no long-term partner. My parents are divorced, and my mom remarried. Dad stayed single. He lives with my uncle, 40-year-old male, and uncle's wife, 40-year-old female. Stepdad is fine. They got married after I was out of the house. Sister reports that they're normal and beige together. He has no kids and has never met my dad anyways, so his family can be removed from the equation. Here's what happened. I have a crappy low-rent apartment about 45 minutes away from my dad's house. It's on the 3rd floor, and you have to walk into the apartment building and up flights of stairs to reach my door. Yesterday around 6 p.m., my dad knocks on my apartment door. I wasn't expecting him, so when I answered, I was confused but pleasantly surprised. I greeted him normally and he gave me a side hug because he had a few toy boxes in his hands. Like Fisher-Price toys for really young kids, even babies. I didn't say anything about them because I had no reason to assume they were for me. Like, I just didn't even register them in my brain. He looked totally normal. He wasn't breathing weird, wasn't sweaty, his pupils weren't huge, nothing was off with him visually. When we hugged, I didn't smell anything weird. No alcohol or smoke or anything, but my face wasn't too close to him. I said I was happy he dropped by, but why is he here? He said he was in the area shopping when he saw these toys, which he then held up for me proudly, and wanted to give them to the girls. I said, who? And he gave me 2 names I didn't recognize. I remember my brain sorting through the Rolodex of everyone I've ever met in our family, Terminator style, and nobody matched. As I'm standing there trying to match the names to any kids I knew of, he peeks over my shoulder into the apartment and asks if the kids are here or if they're with Mike. Again, who is that? Apparently it's my husband. I must have been radiating confusion since now my dad is looking just as confused as I am, but still keeping up a good mood kind of vibe. I tell him I'm not married and have no kids. At first, he insisted I did, and when I reiterated that, he just kind of shook his head. At this point, I'm getting really concerned. Is my dad lost? Confused? Is he having some kind of breakdown? I ask my dad if he knows where he is. He starts to get frustrated really quickly and confirms that yes, he knows where he is and who I am. I start to ask him questions that I've seen in movies like, do you know what time it is? Or the year? And he just gets more and more angry. He starts shouting at me right in my face, yelling, "You think this is funny?" And "Are you trying to make me look stupid?" There's bubbles of spit in the corners of his mouth. He went from 0 to 100 so fast it genuinely kind of scared me, and I just retreated a bit into my apartment. When I backed away, he took it as a personal offense and started screaming, "Oh, now you're scared? You're scared of me? Guess I'll just freak off then." He storms off, literally stomping his feet like a child down the hallway. I thought about chasing him, but he was so irate that I didn't think it was a smart move. Whole interaction was less than 5 minutes. I closed and locked my door and immediately started making phone calls. Called my mom, uncle, and siblings. Nobody has any idea what just happened. I did ask my mom and sister if I was the crazy one and did have children I just forgot about. They confirmed I certainly didn't. Uncle says that dad left the house around 4 p.m. to run errands in my area, so that part was true. I told him what happened, and he said he tried to figure out what's going on and would call with updates. It's tomorrow morning, and I haven't heard anything back. I spent all night trying to figure this out. Here are my theories. He has another kid somewhere that none of us know about, and that kid is married with 2 kids. But if that's true, why my apartment? Did he confuse me with his other hidden kid? He confirmed he knew where he was, so I'm not sure. Did he drive here on autopilot? He'd have to get out of his car and walk all the way up here though, which should have been enough time to snap out of it. The anger might have been coming from him realizing what he'd done and panicking. But it would have been so easy to make up a lie about what happened. He had some kind of mental breakdown. This was my first thought, but he looked and acted so normal. He drove out here and went to a store and purchased items without issue, so he must have been in decently sound mind to do that. Maybe he was somewhere else in his mind. I considered the idea that he was maybe in the past and thought I was someone else. But again, he confirmed where he was and who I was, and I didn't recognize any of the names as anyone in our family. He did this on purpose for some reason. I have no idea why he would do this. Drama? Our whole family loves to stir the pot, but this is extreme and makes him look bad, which is out of character. If he were to manufacture drama, he'd want to make himself look good. So this would be a drastic switch in his dramatics. Maybe sympathy? Maybe he's going to play this up as some kind of stress breakdown? As far as I know, his job doesn't squeeze him too much. He's had the same position for years and was pretty happy with it. The most he complained about was having to work overtime every once in a while. He's developing dementia. I know early onset dementia could be the cause, but he's just barely 50. Yeah, he's getting older, but not that old. And he's never shown any signs of cognitive failure up until this exact point. This is a huge escalation from nothing. If anyone else has any idea what is happening here, please share. Uncle has yet to call me back and my siblings can't get through to my dad's phone. I think it's dead. I left a voicemail and texts on my uncle's line, but who knows if he's seen them. I don't have any authority in his life. The only one that does is my brother and he lives in another state, so it's not like he can help much. What the freak happened to my dad? Honestly, the whole thing is so bizarre. If I were in OP's position, I definitely would be kind of worried about something like the dementia thing. At the same time though, when he starts getting angry and belligerent out of nowhere, and he starts kind of almost foaming at the corners of his mouth, that also makes me worried that he is on something. I mean, who knows, like OP said, maybe he's having something bothering him that badly in his day-to-day life that it was some kind of mental breakdown. Realistically though, I think the only thing that's going to get you actual answers is if he's properly evaluated. Our next story is, my husband, 30-year-old male, likes to constantly remind me, 28-year-old female, that he makes more than me. We've been together 4 years, married 3. He makes about $25 and I make $16. I'm due for a raise here soon. I contribute what I can with bills and rent, of course. I buy the groceries and all of our daughter's needs and foods if we go out. He thinks because he pays the majority of rent and his expensive car payment that it's basically his home. Even in front of his friends, he'll make his little comments. I've brought it up to him that it makes me uncomfortable, and he always just says it's a joke, but I'm not sure what to do now. Is there any way to say it that I'm missing? It sounds like nothing I say gets through. I mean, if he's just not willing to talk through why he feels the need to say the things he says, you're really going to be SOL trying to get through. Because I would just say in a situation like this, I would try to talk to them and ask them and try to understand why do they feel the need to even make these comments. Without any hostility, is it just it makes them feel better, makes them feel important? Like, does it make them feel good or proud to try to establish and express themselves as this great provider? Like, can you have that actual level of discussion with your partner? I caught my female 26, fiance, male 28, cheating. He wants to continue the relationship. I'm not sure what I want. We've been together since high school and are engaged for a year and a half with our wedding coming up in 7 months. This happened last Friday. After work, I went out for dinner and drinks with a friend, which we had planned the week before. Earlier that day, I texted my fiance that I would be home around 12. We kept texting a bit after that about random stuff. When we were at dinner, my fiance texted me again asking what time I would be home, which was weird, as I told him earlier that day I would be home around 12. I said probably around 12 like I already told you. Now, after dinner, I started feeling very nauseous, and after 2 drinks, I vomited in the toilet of the restaurant. There was probably something bad in the food, because I'm feeling sick at this point, around 8 p.m. I go home early without texting my fiance. As soon as I open the front door, I hear a lot of hard walking upstairs. So I'm going, "Hey, I'm home early, what's going on up there?" As I walk up the stairs, there's this girl standing at the top saying, "Hi, I can't remember. I was just going home." As I was in total shock, I just let her pass and walk up to my boyfriend to ask, "Who is that?" He was silent and didn't know what to say. I was getting really mad because I realized he was cheating on me, and I caught them red-handed. As I was screaming and packing my bag to sleep at my parents' house, my fiance was just sitting there not answering any questions, just saying, "I don't know, sorry." We didn't really have a conversation that night and I just left. Fast forward to now, I'm still living at my parents' house. Turns out the girl was an escort. My fiance keeps saying that he's deeply sorry, and he only did it because we don't hook up a lot anymore. It was only one time, blah blah blah, that he still wants to be with me and marry me. Now, I don't know what to do. On one hand, I want to stay with my fiance because I still love him and I'd be throwing away 10 years. Plus, it was only an escort and there were no feelings involved. On the other hand, I still feel disgusted and feel very sad and angry every time I think about it. I would like some outside perspectives. I mean, it comes down to really what you're comfortable with. If you're okay going back to that, I mean, good luck to you. Personally, if it were me and my partner hired an escort like that, honestly, I think I would feel too disgusted to want to go back to them. Let alone the fact that cheating is cheating. Especially when I focus on the fact that he was asking very specifically, "Hey, when are you gonna be back?" I can't wait to run right back to a person who hired an escort and was double checking to make sure I wouldn't be around. This next story is, girlfriend 24-year-old female said I, 27-year-old male, was out of line for needing to cancel plans with her and her family. I've been with my partner for 3 years and her family have an informal get-together every 3 to 4 months. It's at a local bar. Her family book out part of the bar so we can all sit together, have food and drinks, etc. Since we've been together, I've been to them all except one when I was in the hospital. There is one planned towards the end of March that we were planning to go to. I got a message from my best friend from university who I hadn't seen in nearly 2 years, telling me that a group of us who went to uni together are all planning on meeting up in a city near where I live for the weekend. He asked if I was interested in going and I said yeah. This would be the first time I've seen a couple of them since we left university 3 years ago, so I thought it would be a great time to all catch up. My friend told me what weekend it was happening, and it was the end of March, at the same time as my girlfriend's family get-together. I spoke to my girlfriend and told her what had come up, and apologized I would need to cancel going to her family get-together just this once because of this. She said I was out of line and should have told my friends no. I told her I understand that she's upset, but the family get-togethers are a lot more regular than me meeting my friends, and that I don't know the next time I'd get to see them. She just repeated that I should be going to the family get-together and not meeting my friends, and that I shouldn't be canceling plans I'd made, but I tried explaining that sometimes things come up that cause plans to change, even if it is unfortunate. Does anyone have any advice on how to handle this? I don't think OP's out of line here, and especially, it's not actually their family. I mean, they're not married, at least not yet. They're not in-laws. And also, this isn't like a once every year or once every 5 years type thing. This is literally like a quarterly family get-together. It's okay if OP misses this to attend something that is actually very rare. In fact, I think it's pretty selfish of the girlfriend to not consider OP's situation here and being so up in arms. Our next story is girlfriend, 29-year-old female, upset I, 28-year-old male, went to pee before making her a drink? We'll try to keep this as objective as possible. My girlfriend and I were on the couch watching a movie while eating. I finished my food and a short while later, she asks if I want a drink. I say no, but I can make her a drink if she wants. I get up and grab some empty plates to go rinse in the sink and make a detour for a quick pee before coming back to grab her glass to make her a drink. As I come out to grab her glass, I realize she's upset. The gist of it is that I always have to pee before helping her with something, i.e., instead of making her a drink and then going to pee, I went to pee first before going to make her a drink. And yes, I do wash my hands. Is this even a thing? What is going on? This is definitely, in my opinion, an extremely odd thing to be so up in arms about. Like, almost to the point where it's like, are you actually happy with the relationship if you're that upset with your partner over something so menial? Can they not imagine it from the reverse side? If they had to get up and go do something and they realized, oh, I need to pee, would it be wrong for you to prioritize the need to pee over... Would it be wrong for you to prioritize the urgent, pressing need of needing to pee, taking the 2 minutes max to do that, and then continuing on with whatever regularly scheduled program? To me, it sounds like they're kind of just unhappy in general. Our next story is my 26-year-old female, fiance's 28-year-old male, mother, 58-year-old female, keeps asking my fiance if he's sure he wants to go through with our wedding at the end of April. Hi, I'm in the end stages of planning my wedding, which is certainly bittersweet, but over the past week I've learned a couple of things about my future mother-in-law that's made it a bit more bitter than sweet. Some context first, if you don't mind. My fiance and I have been together for 8 years, engaged for 1.5. When we first got engaged, everyone was very happy for us, since it had been a long time coming. Everyone, that is, except for his mother. When my fiancé told his mother that he planned on proposing the day before he did it and showed her the ring, my fiancé says that she turned pale and then green and then said, "Oh, honey, are you sure? It's forever, you know. You can never back out. Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with her?" She has a tendency to be a bit irrational about everything, so although this offended me, I eventually settled with it being that she isn't in the happiest marriage and that she's just looking out for her son in her own way because she doesn't want him to end up like her. It seemed though, as time went on the past 16 months from then to now, that she'd warmed up to the idea quite well. Whenever I see her, which is often since we live in the same city, she asks about how planning is going and that she's excited to see my veil, or she wants to know what cake we picked, etc. She even went with me to pick out my wedding dress, which was very sweet, and she seemed really honored that I asked her to go. I thought everything was in the past, except for yesterday, when my fiancé broke it to me that every time he sees her when he's not with me, she asks him if he's sure he wants to go through with the wedding. The whole time, in my opinion, it's just been a facade. I don't think she approves of our marriage, no matter how excited she acts. I'm not worried about my fiancé taking her side at all. He has his own personal issues with his mother and has never been any sort of a mama's boy. Another issue, my fiancé has 2 brothers who are both going to be in the wedding. One of them will be his best man, and the other will be a groomsman. Because they're both in the wedding party, when I sent out the invitations, I was sure to hand deliver 3 separate envelopes to my fiancé's paternal household mailbox. One for each brother, and one addressed to both of my fiancé's parents. Both of the brothers still live with their parents, so sending all of the invitations to one house makes sense in this context. On Sunday last week, my future mother-in-law texted me and told me how beautiful the invitations were, and how much she appreciated the detail, which was a lovely thing for her to say. The confusion is, I called the best man on Wednesday and asked if he'd also received his invitation, and he told me he hadn't seen any invitation. I told him that his mom had certainly gotten hers, so he and his brother should have gotten theirs as well. It turns out that his mom never actually distributed the invitations to either of them. I'm not sure if this was done out of malice or out of incompetence, but either way, I'm nervous about it. The real thing is, my fiancé's father is offering to pay for our rehearsal dinner, and I appreciate his very generous gesture. But it also makes me uneasy considering my future mother-in-law's behavior. I don't want her to hold it against me at any point. I also understand though that worrying about something that hasn't even happened yet is pointless. Has anyone else gone through something similar? I mean, you would kind of hope that your fiancé would be the one telling their own mom, "Hey, knock off this behavior. Yes, I'm sure, kind of setting a boundary. Obviously, when he asks her to stop and it seems like she doesn't want to listen, you don't want to have to escalate things. But also, what can you do? Just put up with this forever? Considering her behavior, it wouldn't surprise me if she kept the invitation from the brother intentionally. This next story is girlfriend, 28-year-old female, upset at me, 30-year-old male, for not using gift card money on her. I almost feel ridiculous explaining this, but bear with me. I received two $200 Visa gift cards from AT&T for switching my phone services over to them. I received 2 for each line switched, mine and hers. I pay our phone bill, so the cards were in my name. Before they came, we had a conversation and she told me to use the cards to get the basics that I need, such as t-shirts, jeans, shoes, etc., which I don't have a lot of, but I said no, those things can wait. I thought I was being selfless. When they arrived, I immediately purchased some things I've been wanting to get around to, but bills kept getting in the way. A $120 juicer being the most expensive thing, because we've both been talking about getting our health in order. The other 80 were more fitness or wellness related items for me. The other $200 Visa card I told was going to go towards a new bed sheet set for us because we upgraded the size of our bed and need new sheets. She's now upset at me because she said she wishes I would have seen this as an opportunity to give her one of the cards as a nice gesture for her to do whatever she wants with it. I'm genuinely confused on what I did wrong here. I'm currently getting the silent treatment, and I'm dumbfounded. Please help. Well, so I think the real issue here is she came to OP and said, "Alright, spend it on the necessities." OP immediately goes, "Oh, no, it's fine," and then turns around and buys a juicer. So for her to see that happen, it's kind of like, oh, well, can I get something nice too? No, I'm gonna spend it on bed sheets. I mean, ultimately, it's OP's money. It's absolutely theirs to do with what they want. There's no responsibility for OP to split the gift cards. I just challenge OP to use that juicer more than 5 times in a year. This next story is, 38-year-old female, found recent/new pictures on my husband's 41-year-old male phone of the person he cheated with. My husband had a long-term affair with a close friend of his. The affair lasted about 2 years, but the emotional connection may have been present for longer. I don't think he was even consciously aware of that part. He and I have been together for 20 years and we have 2 beautiful children, 5 and 7. He initially had wanted to leave our marriage, but I persuaded him to at least try some form of counseling, and when we began counseling, it was clear to us both that staying together was the best thing for our children. My husband and I get along really well. We never argue, and even if the intimacy isn't 100%, it is manageable. I guess we both are resigned to being together for our children. He told me about the affair 6 months ago, and for about a month, he was convinced he was leaving, going as far as telling all of our friends and family that he'll be leaving the marriage. He said it was because he was in love with someone else and wanted to pursue this relationship. Anyway, he ended up staying and cutting contact with his affair partner. He has been no contact ever since then. Over the weekend, we were out as a family and he'd taken some pictures on his phone, and I wanted to upload them to the cloud to have access. I opened up the Photos app and noticed pictures of his affair partner. They were all screenshots of her, ones that he had taken from her socials. There must have been 30 to 40, all of her. Some even screen recordings. The timestamps show that he's visiting her profile frequently throughout the day. The screenshots only go back 2 weeks and nothing before then. He still is no contact with her. There is no communication between them. I know this for certain. I won't go into it here, but I know for sure there is no communication. Does this still count as cheating? I know I'll probably receive quite a bit of negativity for this, but if all he's doing is pining after her on socials, I can handle that. What I am worried about is if it goes further. Honestly, hearing this story makes me want to take a step back and try to understand OP's mindset in general. Why is OP so okay with staying together, even in a situation where they're pining for another woman on their social media account? Why is OP seemingly resigned and okay with the idea of being secondary to JPEGs of another woman on this guy's phone? And especially if he's still that crazy and that obsessed about his affair partner? Is it not inevitable that there's going to be a point where he tries to reach out again? I mean, this dude took 30 to 40 screenshots of her social media account. He cheated on OP for 2 years with an asterisk on the 2 years because you're not even truly sure if it was more or not. But with that being said, that's all the time we have for today. Now, if you want to hear another extremely tricky relationship topic, check out that video on the left. Or if you missed my latest video, check out that video on the right. That said, I'll see you all next time with some more stories.